Hi, honey.
Hi.
So nice to see you. I
Nice
gotta.
to see you too.
First thing is, the weather swears it's not gonna rain, but it looks like it's gonna rain. So I may
Mhm.
get up and go inside and notice. So where?
Okay. I can't hear you.
Maybe turn up your volume.
Okay. You were going in and out. Okay. What did you
Okay.
say?
I said, where are you?
I'm in Jersey. I'm at my house.
Okay, that's a beautiful color on.
Think?
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
I'm very
Thank
simple and
you.
have.
Oh no. You're breaking up. I can hardly. It's going in and out. It's giving me
Wi-Fi off, and now
the
it's
waiting
worse.
signal
Is that any better?
a little bit. Yes.
Okay, we'll stay there then.
Okay.
I was saying I have white walls at home because I'm kind of boring, but I really like the color there. Um,
Thank you.
so let's see. I'm gonna wait till Carrie gets on here and a few other people. So Carrie's here. Okay, Carrie's in Barcelona, and she texted me. She's like, please remind me I'm gonna be with my husband and child running around Barcelona. Please text me before you go on so that I'll be there. So she stopped her vacation because she's so excited that we're gonna chat, and I am too.
Aw. Love you, Kathy.
Wait, would you start by introducing yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi everyone, I'm Shaquay. I'm a private chef turned chef of a tech company, but we'll get into that later. Um, and that was just recently, but I've been private chefing for like 7 years. Um, and I'm an avid traveler. So in between clients and stuff, I like to travel the world.
Yeah, you're one of those people that I met and then followed on Instagram, but I just love everything that you do because you take cool trips, you show us what you do when you cook and make it easy and accessible, and I know skill and experience, but fascinating. So, and we're here to talk about harvest in the Roussillon with Carrie, but can you tell us a little bit about the story about how you got into being a chef, where you learned to cook, and how you decided to, you're an entrepreneur and I don't have the balls to do that. Um, so I'd love to hear a little bit about your story about how you are.
Sure. So I knew I wanted to be a chef since I was a kid. I since like since I was able to reach the stove, I've been cooking and was heavily influenced by like my family. My older brother is a chef as well. So it was something that I knew I was going to do. And then I went to Johnson and Wales University and I had my degree in culinary arts and then culinary nutrition. And then from there, I was working in restaurants, working in hotels, working in basically every aspect of the culinary world, even like freelancing in like magazine, recipe development, food photography, like working on cookbooks. So just basically everything in the culinary field. And it's funny because I never thought I would be a private chef. That's something that just happened. I was a sous chef for Restaurant Associates at the New York Times, and then I get a call from my old chef from back when I was in restaurants, and she had this private chef gig for me.
I'm decamping to inside because it already is starting. So
Oh,
just
okay.
keep talking while I move.
Um, so yeah, she was a private chef for this family and asked me if I was interested in taking her place, and that was probably one of the best decisions that I made because that gave me the freedom to do things that I like within the culinary world as well as travel. So
So you traveled with the family.
no, no, no. So I traveled on my own, but my schedule, I went from working full time, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, to working only 3 days with this family, but making even more money. Um, and so with that time, I ended up freelancing and catering and just different things and then traveling.
Wow. I have a friend who you're gonna see my green screen now. I'm staying with some friends, and He does a lot of zooming, so he tried making this green screen that wasn't big enough. So I took it, and if I sit like this, it's a proper green screen, but you'll see it's not exactly. Um, yeah, because no, I have friends who are private chefs with like people who will then go to the Hamptons or go to Miami or something like that. But so this gave you time to travel.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
eventually, like, I was with that family for 3 years, just them. And then eventually I was doing like summers in the Hamptons and all over the tri-state.
so then how did you have the nerve to then go on your own, and then how do you find?
Um, it was something that was very scary to like leave the corporate world, leave the paycheck. And I talked about it to a couple of friends in the industry, and they were just like, "Worst comes to worst, you could always come back." Like, and it was more of like, kind of like not believing in myself. Just like, and I had people talk to me like, you're better than you think you are. You'll be fine. You'll be great. Just go out and do it. There's no reason not to. So I just went out and did it. And then I stuck with it ever since. And, in the private chef world, once you have one client, you get more and more and more. If you're good at
Right.
what you do, they will tell their friends. And that's basically how it happened. I've been pretty lucky, and it goes with my, like, I really do work really hard. I have never had to like apply to a private chef gig. They just come to me. So yeah, it's been good.
You learn, I don't mean to say this that you're not confident, but did you learn to be more confident in yourself by just doing it and seeing it happen, and you found that you could make?
Yeah. And and I feel like that's something that happens a lot, especially, being a woman in this industry and being a Black woman. There's few of us,
Right.
like, spread thin, and especially to the level that I was at. It was just like doubting myself, like, do I even belong here? And then just looking and seeing what other people did and just saying, I could do that, or I have more experience to do that, or I'm even like have more skill in doing that, and just going for it.
Yeah.
So.
But I also feel that you're because I've seen some of the events. Didn't you do like a Seder dinner for somebody, and you just
Yeah.
and you figure it out, and you're not ashamed? Because every chef looks at everybody else's cookbook, and you figure it out. And
Mhm. Yeah, so most of my clients are Jewish, and they keep kosher, because that's basically, I started out with a Jewish family who kept strict kosher, and I was with them for 3 years. So most of my clients since then are Jewish families. So by now I'm like pretty well versed in the laws and the rules, and even like the traditional recipes and stuff. So and the thing is, I like to learn, and I like to try things out. So if I don't know something and someone asks me to cook something, I'm just like, okay, I'll just, whip it up, see what happens.
I think you're probably good enough to make it good in the first try. But do you make a practice run at home, or do you just go do it?
No, I just go for it. So
So,
far, let me knock on wood. So far, I've been okay.
but I'm gotta be good with like money and organization too, because like
Yeah,
you travel a lot, and so you
yeah.
have to organize to say, okay, I'm going here for these 14 days. That means I have a budget. And can you just talk
Hmm.
about organization and how you that work?
So I think that is, with working for yourself, especially in the industry that's unknown, being organized is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So just like knowing how much things cost, like knowing how much I need to live, and knowing how much, you know, I could make. Because with the season of like freelancing and catering and being a private chef, you know what seasons you make money.
Right.
And like January and February, you're gonna be dead. It's like nothing. And you also know, like, well, despite COVID, but before COVID, from like March to June, super busy. And then once Memorial Day hits, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, you're slow in catering and freelancing, but that's the summer Hampton season. So
Right.
I would like basically gauge like say, okay, I'm just gonna make this amount of money. Let me save up. Let me save up for all these trips that I want to do, and also let me save up for the slow season, because I know once January, once like the week before Christmas, like after you do all of the holiday parties and stuff, it's going to be dead for about 2.5 months. So you have to make sure and discipline yourself not to, go crazy and spend all this money, and make sure you have, enough income.
Yeah. So, because you got to think in December, if I have this coffee, then I can't have that movie in March or something. Where did you learn finances and how to budget and all that? Is that just part of organization? Because finances kind of freak me out, and I kind of like, don't do it like I should.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's I guess it's something that I just learned. And my mother is very good with money. So I
Okay.
probably learned it from her. She's always been like, make sure you have enough, make sure you have savings. And I'm not the best with savings, but I am really good at forecasting how much I can make. And also with the clients that I had, it could be a scary thing, especially working for yourself. Because what if, your main client says, hey, I don't need you anymore? Because that has happened. But being more like confident in your abilities that you can get another client and make up for that. So
Yeah. You absorb things from your parents, and then it's amazing that you can go hustle if you have to.
yeah, yeah.
So, how long did you go to France, and how did you even have you want to do that? How did you even in the wine world? People think you can go do harvest. How did that all come about?
So I knew about like harvest and all of that because maybe was it like 8 years ago? I used to work catering as a catering that would make their wine in house. So I remember seeing like the grapes come in and all of that process. And I remember asking one of the people that worked there, like, oh, what's the process? And she's the one that told me, Lizzie, she's the one that told me about, oh, you could just do harvest. You could go to, different vineyards and do the harvest. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I always knew about the process, but I just never thought that I would do it. And then how this came about with me going to France, I have two friends, my friend Kyla and my friend Cha, who I know you know Cha Samayer. We're like the three foodie friends, and we do different events. So Cha asked us, she's like, I want to go to Raw Wine, which is the wine festival. And so we went to Raw Wine Festival in BK. And as soon as we get there, Cha said, before we go around to the different booths, I want to search out the women-owned ones and the women winemakers first. And so we scanned the room, and Carrie was the first person we saw. And it's crazy because that was the first Royal Wine I went to. I just went to this past one, but it was so few women
Yeah.
there. So it was really easy to like just look around like, oh, there's one. So we went straight to Carrie,
Okay.
who, of course, she's a co-owner with her husband, Marcel, of Domaine des Enfants. So we go and Cha's talking about her, wine and all that stuff. And me and Kyla just, standing there listening. And then, then I just asked, I was like, do you take people to do harvest? And she was like, of course. So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And it's really great because when we met Carrie, as soon as I met her, when you meet someone, we're going to be friends, this is great. And, Carrie also was a chef first. So she knew like our background being chefs. And, we went to Johnson and Wales the same time. We were just like a year apart. So I never knew her. Yeah. Yeah. We were there the same time.
That's
So it was just like, it was, meant to be. And so I was going
yeah.
back and forth so Raw Wine was in the fall. And then after the new year came, I was going back and forth like, I should do this, but scared because if I'm
Right.
away, the thing is with working for yourself, especially in, private chefing, and when you're not working, you're not making money. So that was my biggest fear, was like, okay, how am I gonna, save up enough money for one to pay all of my bills, because the bills don't stop when you leave, and to
Yeah.
like have money to have, you know, when I do go away.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just did like my calculations, and I knew I had my private chef gig. I had my 2 clients in the Hamptons in the summer. And I also knew that I wanted to stay here because Rosh Hashanah is a big holiday. And like I said, most of my clients are Jewish and they keep kosher. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go like right after Rosh Hashanah. I'll go out and go to France and do it. So I emailed Carrie like in February. I was like, I don't know if you remember me, but we met at Royal Wine and I'm really interested in doing harvest with you. And she's like, oh my God, I remember you. Yes, yes, yes. I was like, okay. So, and that's how it happened. So we knew in February that I was going out there. So basically from then on, I just like saved and just like worked a ton and just saved and saved and saved. So.
But then, so because they are so far south, they start picking in August, and I think go into September or so.
Yeah.
When exactly was Rosh Hashanah that year? And then
So,
go ahead. And how did
oh
you?
yeah. So it was earlier that year. It was like the second week of September. But by the
Okay.
time I got there, white wine was already done. So
Okay.
I came, she said, come back. I want to come back. So when I came, I literally left. I did like my last Rosh Hashanah dinner. The next day I flew out to Barcelona and then they picked me up.
Okay.
So when I arrived, white grapes were already picked and pressed, and we had maybe like 2 or 3 days before red grapes were being picked. So my first actual day was we were bottling the 2017 whites.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my first day.
So then, how long were you there, and what did you do, and was it everything or anything you expected, and did you hurt yourself, and did you get muscles tired, and was Gary nice and all that?
So I was there. I was there for a month, but I took 2 months off to stay in Europe because after the month in France, Cha ended up meeting me in Spain. So we went to like Rioja and went to different wineries there and went all around. So I was there in France for a month. Um, let's see, it was like a dream. You know, it's funny because you see pictures on Instagram of people like, oh, I worked harvest, oh, it's
Yeah.
so glamorous, and I'm like, they didn't even work, because it's hard work, but it's fun. And I think coming from the background of being a chef and in the kitchen, oh, the phone, being a chef and in the kitchen, you know, I was used to working 14, 15 hours a day. I was used to working a physical job. I was used to like picking up things and, you know, putting them, you know, like lifting up heavy things. So the physical part it didn't faze me because I was used to it. But I feel like someone who doesn't have a physical job, they will like feel it. So how Carrie split it up, it was either you're on the barrels or you're on the line to like sort out the grapes.
Okay.
So it was me and Anna Maria. She was the other stagiaire with me. She's from Finland, and we alternated days. So the days that we did the grapes, it's like, you know, a conveyor belt. The pickers go picking, and we basically sort the grapes from the day before while they're going out. And we just like literally like it's kind of like the I Love Lucy episode with the chocolates. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. And just like picking everything and, you know, just going through all the grapes, making sure like the best quality. Um, and yeah, you're doing that all day because so
Oh,
many grapes. Yeah.
that's a lot. So did you get
Yeah.
out in the pick at all? Because
Huh?
did you pick at all? Because that's a whole other thing.
Yes, I did pick. And that was hard.
The bending over is what would
That was
kill me.
hard, yes. And, you know, because the vines there were, you know, vintage vines. So now if you go to wineries, you'll see the vines like are tall, you know, because machines get it, but everything there was done by hand. It was manual. So you have to bend down to like pick up the grapes and go through everything. And we started, I think, like maybe 5:30 in the morning. So by the time like the sun was like really on you around like 2, oh, around like 2 or 3, we were done for the day. But
So
that was hard.
are the vines that you're amongst? Those are like the bush vines, right? That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah. So you can see how tall they are. Like, so you're literally bent down and like picking and going through everything. So it's backbreaking work.
and then what's the other thing you did in the Cobb if the days alternated? What is doing barrels? What does that mean?
Oh, so
Yeah.
barrel that yeah. So that's my favorite. Those are my favorite days. So that's when we, actually hand crush the grapes, like and hand mix them. Um, and it's the different grapes, different varieties. And also, so that we were doing that with the red because, like I said, wasn't there. By the time I got there, the whites were already done with that process. So we were doing that with the red, and with the whites, we were testing them every day. So there's another one when you're like, we're testing. Oh, so that's the pour over. That
Okay.
picture is when we did the pour over of the reds. And what else with the barrels? It's funny because with the barrels you get a rash because
Oh,
it's grapes, so it's acid.
okay.
So all your arms is like I had like a full on rash
Wow.
every day. I mean, I had a rash for a month and a half.
Everybody,
But huh?
everybody gets that. It's not just you, sensitive skin. No.
I think everyone got it.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And like your hands, like my nail, you see how white they are? For a month and a half, they were purple.
Those hands on Marianne. So,
But it's funny because like that's the thing that gave me like the rash, but that was my favorite thing to do was to like do the barrels and be with the grapes and test the alcohol density and the sugar and the temperature and doing the mixing. That was my favorite thing to do.
Cha is on here now, and I
Yep.
got the phone. But so I went there about at the same time with my mom and a sister and Carrie. I have a video of the bubble of the fermenting. Actually, the bubbles coming up.
Mm-hmm.
App which you never see, and Carrie doing a punch down. And my mom mentioned that it's kind of like making bread. Did you find some of that because you're used to fermentation with making bread? Did you find any similarities with that?
Yeah. That's funny. I never even thought of that until you said that.
My mom and email too is kind of thing. So tell me about the phone. What happened with the phone?
Okay, so right before my trip, maybe 2 weeks before I went to France, I was like, I'm gonna get a new iPhone to take like fabulous pictures. And so we get out there, and literally day 3, mind you, I'm going to be in Europe for 3 weeks. I mean, for 2 months. Day 3, my phone disappears. It's gone, and I was like looking all over for it, could not find it. And from the beginning, Carrie's like, you dropped it. You dropped it in I forget what the big barrels. There's a picture of me like sitting on top that I sent to you that I'm sitting on top. Yeah, so she was like, you
Yeah,
dropped it in there. And I was like, what? I feel like I would have, yeah, that one. I was like, I feel like I would have like heard it or something. She's like, I bet you it's in there. So and it's funny. So I didn't have a phone. Thankfully, my friend was staying at my house, taking care of my plants. And I asked her to send me my old phone, but no one could reach me for a good 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, Couve, it's a Couve. Yes, Couve number 5. And so Couve number 5, that Couve, that was the one I did the 3rd day. And so yeah, my friend like sent me my old phone. And then my last day of working, Carrie's like, okay, Shaquay, it's time to like empty out Couve number 5, which was the Syrah. And she's like, you can do it. So that's the picture that I'm in, like we're draining everything out. And yeah, and like
you're behind there. People can't
huh?
people can't see because I'm blocking you, but you're standing up in the must that has been juiced out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I was in. So that's Couve number 5, and I'm in there digging it out. And this was literally like a month later, found my phone. I started screaming, I was like, oh my God. And then Carrie's like, your phone is in there, right? I was like, yep. So I found my phone. And the funny thing is, like 2 weeks later, like after I left, I like plugged it up and it worked.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's nuts. Do you have a bottle
yeah.
of it now?
Huh?
Do you have a bottle of that wine?
No, because it's not being,
Oh, it's still not ready.
it's not bottled yet. It's still aging.
That one. That's insane
Yeah.
to work too. Wow.
Still worked.
Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
it still worked. It was crazy. I remember we were in Portugal and I plugged it up, and like the Apple time goes, I was like, and I was like, Chad, look, my phone's coming on, and it worked.
Unbelievable. Wow.
And I had it for up until maybe like 5 months ago. I had
Yeah,
the same phone. I was still using it.
that's incredible. I love that. What a
Yeah,
good story.
and
Um,
I actually have the same case on my phone right now from it. It just has like a wine stain on it, and I still have it.
amazing. Um, so I don't want to go too far over a half an hour, but people are fascinated, and I'm getting so many hearts. People are loving the story. Can you tell a little bit about the rest of your trip? And then I know it's a bit personal, but your trip to Ghana just blew me away, and I'd love to hear about that just as a separate trip. That just was so moving.
So the rest of the trip after we left France, and I do have to say, I want to say with the phone, actually, I think me losing my phone in the coup was probably the best thing because it made me become more present. Like I wasn't out like, taking pictures of everything, taking videos of everything. I was like literally in the moment, which was like the blessing in disguise of me losing my phone for the whole time I was basically there. Okay.
That's
So after France, I went to Spain, and that's where I met up with Cha, and we decided that we were going to do like a best of both worlds, like the food and wine. So we went to Valencia, we met up in Madrid, then we went to Valencia, we went to Haro, which is in Rioja country. And while there, we went to a couple of vineyards. We went to Muga, Bodega
oh,
Muga, and we went to Heredia in Rioja.
wow, the
And
big
then
one.
we did like tastings and stuff there and had like amazing food. Then we went to San Sebastian, we went to Bilbao, and when we were in Bilbao, we went to I forget the name of the winery, but it was they were famous for the Chacoli,
Yeah.
which is like the famous wine of the Basque region. And we like went to the winery there. And then after that, we went to Portugal and went around Lisbon, just drinking and eating.
You go to
Hmm?
Did you spend time in Barcelona?
So I did. And that's another story because the second to last day in France, I got sick. It was something that was going around. And to the point where I was just like, it kind of felt like food poisoning. I forget what Carrie was sick with it too. It's weird. It was going around to like all of us. So the whole day, and I felt bad because Carrie was friends with two owners of a restaurant, and they opened their doors to give me like a going away party, and I literally couldn't eat anything because I was just so sick. So from there, the next day I was leaving, going to Barcelona. But Barcelona, I was like basically had food poisoning, so I stayed in my room for 3 days and didn't do anything. I was sick.
Time to go.
Huh?
Time to go.
Right. But the thing is, I've been to Barcelona before a couple of times, so I wasn't feeling like I was angry because I was like, oh, this is the time where I could like check out like one of the Roca Brothers restaurants, like tickets or something. Especially being alone, I'll easily get a table or something
Yeah.
or a seat at the bar by myself. But no, I stayed in the room.
So you recommend Harvest, right?
Yes, I do. I do.
I have always
I
been.
do.
Did you ever because the thing that fascinates me with Harvest, there's something about, I don't know if it's family meal or my dad was a cook in the army briefly, but cooking cheaply for large groups of people appeals to me, and so I always wanted it for a Harvest, like the wife of the vintner for the family, and I've always wanted to do that. Did you ever cook during the time, and did you fight Carrie for her stove? Did she let you in her kitchen? Probably not.
You know what's funny? I thought I would cook more. I hardly cooked. If anything, Carrie would have dinners at her house for us.
And if she,
Um,
we're gonna just sit.
yeah, right. I mean, so I did cook because we brought our basically every meal that I ate, we brought it to work. So I made breakfast for myself at the house, and then we would pack our lunches every day. So I did that, and then we would eat our dinners back at the house. So I did cook, but not like for a bunch of people. It was basically for myself.
Yeah. Um. So can you tell us about your other travels, and if you're comfortable with it, Ghana? Because it just again, it was so touching.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's see. Ghana, I went December 28th. So 2019 was called the Year of the Return, and it was basically the president of Ghana welcoming all of the descendants of West Africa back to Ghana, because it was the 400th. It was 400 years since the first enslaved people left the shores of West Africa. So it was the 400-year anniversary. So he was welcoming everyone back to Ghana, and they called it the Year of the Return. So I've always wanted to go to the continent of Africa, and it was my first time. I was like, what better time to go than now? And one of my friends, she runs a travel business, Tastemakers Africa, Sheree. She runs a business. So she was doing trips, and she was like the plug in the continent. So she was just telling me, just come, don't worry about anything, just come. So I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna go and just gonna wing it and see what happens. And so yeah, it was like, even, being someone that travels pretty regularly, going someplace and not being an outsider was like very like, it was just an amazing feeling that kind of you can't understand, like can't explain it, because like, I go to Spain, I go to Italy, I go everywhere. People look at me because I'm Black. So to travel someplace where everyone looks like me and I'm not different, I'm not other, was just like, whoa, like I don't stick out.
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa, this is crazy, but nice, but weird, but like nice. And yeah, so while I was there, I wanted like the best of both worlds, like doing like the tours, the historic tours. So we went to the Elmira Castle, one of the like the castles that had like the slave dungeons, and just learn the history about that. And I also did like city tours and just learning the history of Ghana. Ghana was the first country in Africa to be a country, to be their own nation. Which, when you think about it, is not. I think it was 1954. It's not that long ago. Um, so it was just it was very touching and very moving. And then like for New Year's, I joined my friend and her group. We went to the beach and had like the shamans come and like pray over us and pray over our ancestors. And it was just like the most amazing like moment. Like we're sitting there listening to these people like, wish us good health and like pray for us and like our future endeavors. And then you hear the firecrackers go off. It was just amazing.
And there wasn't, I think it's the same trip. There was a ceremony where they put dirt on your feet that was very moving to me, wasn't that?
Yes, so that was the castle. I
It was
think it was Elmira. Was it Elmira? I think it was Elmira Castle. It was basically like, so there's called the Door of No Return, and basically that's where all of the enslaved people went out to the ships and they never came back to their homes. So we like did this whole ceremony where we went out the door, and then we talked about like, what people saw last before going on the ships. And then so he welcomed us back into the door, like we returned home, and we did that whole ceremony. It was just It was like amazing.
That's unbelievable. It's
And
just
it was like,
incredible.
yeah, yeah. And it's just, it was, being, I'm from here, my family's from here, being African American, of course, my roots are from there, but we have no connection because that connection was like, you know, it was basically dismantled when, we were enslaved here. So to like go back and to just see, this culture that I had no idea of. I mean, I knew about it, but I wasn't in it. And just to see, okay, not my immediate family, but maybe my ancestors 300 years ago, this is where they were, So it was really nice.
Did you connect with the cuisine at all, or did you?
Yes, yes. It's funny because like a lot of the food there was so similar to food that I grew up in. Both of my parents are from the Carolinas. So
Oh,
there, yeah. So when I was in Ghana, it was like, oh, rice and black eyed peas. It was like, oh, I eat this all the time. Just what else? A lot of plantain and grilled fish, things that, are so similar. They use a lot of okra, which I hate, but my mother loves. Like just different things is so similar because that's where it came from.
yeah.
It came from there, and then the enslaved people brought it to the US. So it was so similar.
This has been so much fun talking to you. This has got to be the chat with the most feedback and literally the most hearts I've ever seen in one of these. Everybody's like,
Aw,
or you're
this is so fun.
you're and a good storyteller. It's been so much fun to chat with you. Um,
Yes, thank you for having me.
oh, I've been looking forward to this all week. And, I can't remember where we actually met. I think it was one of the times Carrie was at the Waverly. Did you come to that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yes, that's where we met.
I've just followed all the things you make, and we kind of chatted back and forth about that turmeric immunity booster thing that you make.
Yes, yes.
So you're one of those accounts that I just find and I constantly learn from, and it's fun too. So it's a pleasure to actually spend a half an hour, 40 minutes just talking. So thank you so much for your.
Aw,
Oh wait,
thank
tell me
you.
about your new job. You changed careers recently?
Oh, so it's things just like I said, things happen. So back in literally right before I went to Ghana, I get a call from a friend who's like, hey, I know you don't want to come back to the corporate world, but there's this great job that came up, and I thought of you being the chef for it. Are you interested? And I'm like, because like I've been called to like go back to corporate from different people, but going back to corporate, I would lose out on, my freedom, which I love, and like, the travel. But on the flip side, being a private chef, every holiday, except for Thanksgiving, but every holiday I was working.
Yeah.
Every weekend I was working. So the older I get, the more I'm like, I want to spend more time with my family and friends and like have those times because money is great, but it's not everything when it comes to like my happiness.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll think about it. So like 3 days before I left for Ghana, I like interviewed, and so I came back from Ghana. I came back maybe Wednesday. I had an interview Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, they were like, you got the job. Can you start Monday? So now I'm like the
Oh
chef
my
of a
God.
tech company,
So is
which
it
is crazy.
like the office? How does it work?
Huh?
Do you make a spread every day? Kind of like I mean, I guess that's what those offices are like now.
So it's basically like contract dining. So I work for one company, and then they have it's like a commissary, and then they have like outputs, like different um, offices and stuff that they do the food for. So we come up with the
Okay.
menu, have the population count, and then basically serve and like cook and serve the food for the people that work in the building. So this account it's actually the biggest account for the company, and it's great because it's like all ran by women, and it's 700, like almost 800 people that we feed. Well, that we fed before COVID shut things down.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot. That's a big. Well, you seem very happy.
Yeah. It's definitely, a blessing, especially in this time, because who would have predicted that COVID would shut down the industry?
Yeah.
And I just always think like, I literally got this job 2 months before everything shut down, and I would not be working at all. I would have no income because even like my clients in the Hamptons, I've only been out to the Hamptons once.
Yeah.
Since summer started. And last year I was there. I was only there once for one day doing one dinner. Last year I was there 3 days a week, every weekend,
Wow.
And even the catering business, like I used to freelance in catering. I would be busy like working 6, 7 shifts a week, and it's nothing. So this job happened like the perfect time. And the fact that, they were still like paying me to pay, like literally paying me. I literally got the job 2 months before. So for them, I've been doing like cooking videos and
Oh wow.
yeah, because I was doing just like when COVID started happening, I would just do like cooking videos, just like put them up on my Instagram stories just because I was bored.
Mm.
So I would do that, and I would get sent out to all of the employees, like 800 people. And then they were like, we want to do like a social impact. So we partnered with a nonprofit that focuses on food and nutrition education for young people. So I've been doing like full on cooking videos for that. So that's basically how I've been like keeping busy, just doing videos. Like I have like a little kitchen studio that I set up like with my tripod and everything. And yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And people, is that on your Instagram? People can follow that?
Yeah, so I do some videos on my Instagram, but the main ones for the nonprofit, called the Sylvia Center. Their
Oh,
videos are gonna be because they're branded, like I say, like I'm a Sylvia Center chef, blah blah blah. That's gonna be on their YouTube and on their Instagram.
awesome. We'll have to follow that. Awesome. Well, I'll let you go. We way over, but you're again fascinating. And um, I'm gonna put I think I can put my big green to contrast your pretty there, your yellow. Thank you again. Really, really nice to chat
No
with you.
problem. Thank
Story.
you for having me. This has
It
been fun.
has been fun, and I think I'm curious if many people are going to go to California to do harvest. Like a lot of restaurant people are out of work, and I
They should.
think for it. So I wanted to talk to somebody who's done it. So thank you.
They should. It's definitely like it was a dream.
I love
And
it.
like working for Carrie has been like amazing.
Yeah, and to stay in touch, is in touch with her too. So
Yeah.
it's been a lovely chat. You take care of yourself,
You
and
too. And hopefully when it opens, I'll come back from some tabla rasa.
I hope so soon. Okay, honey.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.